One. Hey there, folks. I am the Mighty Plantain. It is Saturday, July 3rd of 2021. We have not reached midnight yet, but we're getting pretty close. So, pretty soon, this sequence of videos is going to make the change over to the next day, I think, because I'm pretty sure I'll make it past midnight. Anyway, not my first beer of the night, obviously. I don't know what order I'm going to post these in, but if you've been keeping track, hang on. I got to eyeball it and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 beers in, and three to four of those have been, well, 3 of them have, no, 1, 2. 2 of them at least have been 9% ABV beers. I think one was 8, one was 6.5 at least, and 4. So, okay, anyway, at least 2 of them have been 9% or greater ABV beers. One, I believe, was 8 or greater. Does it really fucking matter? Probably not. I'm just trying to give you a little perspective on my perspective right now. So, what we are looking at right now is Peasant Bread, a wild rice brown ale from Burlington, I think it said. Brewed by Burlington Beer Company. 25 Omega Drive, Suite 150. Williston, Vermont. This is a 5% ABV beer. And there's not a lot of other information on here except a bunch of pictographs. One with a scythe, one with a sickle, a fork, scythe, wheat, hand, 3 little poundy looking things, bread, triple I, another hand. Okay, that was just the whole thing repeating. But no, Peasant Bread would actually be a pretty accurate description for some beers, because beer was a ration given to poor people back in the day. Like, we're talking as far back as ancient Egypt. It was actually a meal, because it was just grain fermented. So it would give you your daily ration of food in terms of the grain, etc. But it would also get you a little buzz. So Peasant Bread is not a bad description of a primitive beer. So I'm assuming this is a more primitive recipe. I don't have the info on it. As somebody has pointed out recently in comments, I do not do a lot of research on these before I actually post them or review them. Damn, that is hazy, and it looks thick. And that looks like, honestly, a rye bread. Look at that brown color that darkens as it goes up. Not very effervescent, but I did get a mild head on it. Interesting look. But no, as I was saying, as it's been pointed out in comments before, I don't do a lot of research on these beers before I post them, because this is a fun hobby for me. I'm obviously not making any money on it. I don't spend any time or money to promote the channel or enhance the content. I mean, I don't even put an audio filter on it to get the sound of my refrigerator filtered out of the fucking sound in the background. But anyway, I just want to give you the layman's view. I want to give you my first impression and my overall idea of how this beer tastes, and just general information. Sometimes I read the label on the beer when the description is provided, but at the same time, I also know that might color my opinion of the flavor, because beer taste is subjective, and honestly, I'm just telling you what I think of any particular beer that I review. So, that's just me going off on a tangent there based on a single viewer comment, and just kind of explaining to you the whole idea behind my channel is that I'm just drinking beer and telling you what I think about it. That's it. But at the same time, I did give you a little perspective on Peasant Bread and the historical context of beer in a way. That's actually pretty roasty smelling. Huh. A wild rice brown ale. So I'm not used to a rice-based beer, Budweiser, actually having this much character in the aroma. It smells like roasted grains. So if it's a rice-based, that's interesting. Maybe it's a rice flour. Maybe they turned it into a rice syrup. Or is it just roasted fucking rice? The hell's what am I thinking of? It's no, not corn syrup. Corn syrup's different. Anyway, like a rice syrup being roasted would have a burnt sugar aroma, but this is more like a roasted grain aroma. So I'm surprised that they're saying it's a rice-based beer when I'm getting a smell of roasted grains. Interesting. A wild rice brown ale. I can only imagine that we're talking about wild rice in the sense that this is a rice with the hulls still on it when they process it for fermenting. Because I'm really getting like a roasted grain aroma, as I said before, but I'm also getting a roasty flavor to it. It's, honestly, it's more robust than I would have expected of a beer called Peasant bread with a rice based. So wild rice, I'm assuming that the hulls are still on this because it's got a lot more roasty, grainy character than I would expect of a white rice based beer. So I think I've made that point 3 fucking times now, haven't I? But yeah, it's just roasty. And it definitely has a brown ale characteristic. And there's maybe an underlying sweetness to it, but like a burnt sugar sweetness, but not in an unpleasant way. It's just... This one's kind of messing with me. It's got a nice medium mouthfeel, not too heavy, not too light. Maybe on the maybe more towards a medium light, but it's definitely got some body to it. I would almost characterize this closer to a nice smoky porter, honestly, than a wild rice brown ale. Pardon. And maybe that's the difference. Maybe the wild rice just means that there's more... The rice hulls are on it and there's more character to it. But I'm telling you, it's like a nice roasty porter with a slightly lighter mouthfeel and a bit more sweetness. That one's messing with me. It's got that medium to medium light mouthfeel, but it rests heavier in the stomach than I would expect. It's got the filling nature of like a porter or a stout. It's got more body than you think it does when you first drink it. This one is really messing with my head. It really is. It's good. I'm liking it. It's obviously easy to drink. I gotta tell you, peasant bread as a daily ration, a pint of this would have gone down pretty easy. and very refreshing, but at the same time filling. I can see where it gets its name. I'm liking it. I'm very, very much liking it. But there's not a lot of flavor complexity to it. It's simple yet somehow perfect. Yeah, just roasty, slightly sweet, and with a bit of a smoky finish. I'm dropping a 5 on this one. A full-on 5 out of 5 for Peasant bread. And look, I don't know if this is based on some sort of ancient recipe. I don't know if there's any sort of tie-in to what we historically refer to as peasant bread or, your daily ration of beer. But what is making this a full-on 5 out of 5 for me is the fact that it is perfect as is. And that's my wow and blown away reaction. It's filling. It's got a complex roasty flavor. It's good. It's not as simple as you think it is up front. And it's kind of blowing me away with how easy it is to drink and how much I can see this as being, honestly, a fucking meal. Or a day's ration. Not to downplay what those who served as peasants in the not serf, the medieval hierarchy. Feudal. Not to downplay the role that those who served as peasants in the feudal system played, but honestly, this is not a half-bad meal. Plus, I'm pretty sure it'll get you buzzed pretty decently after a hard day's of work. 5.5% ABV. Couple of these. You're going to be buzzed after sweating your ass off all day long and basically starving until they give you this. So, peasant bread. It is exactly what you would expect if you put yourself into the historical perspective that I believe this beer is based upon. I could be totally wrong, because again, I don't do any research before pulling these up, so Burlington Beer Company could have been looking at something completely different. But anyway, that's just my perspective on this, in my opinion. Hit me up down below whether you agree or disagree, or if you want to tell me I'm completely wrong in my perception of the idea behind this beer. I'm all for that. But it's a full-on 5 out of 5 perfect beer for me. While you're down there telling me that I'm smart or that I'm an idiot, either way, hit me up with a like and a share. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Till next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.